The stadium lights buzzed like angry hornets as I knelt in the dirt, my hands slick with rain and blood, pressing a jersey to the stranger's gashed forehead while sirens wailed closer. Too late to erase the nightmare we just stumbled into. "Stay with me, man. Talk to me," I begged, my voice cracking over the thunder. But his eyes, wild and haunted like a cornered wolf's, locked onto mine and whispered a single word that shattered my world. "Run." In that heartbeat, as my son froze mid-cheer on the bleachers, I knew my quiet life as Elmwood's steady-handed coach was over, unraveling in the downpour with a man I'd never met. It was supposed to be just another Friday night under the lights at Elmwood High's field, the kind of small-town ritual that glued our community together like the frayed seams on my old glove. I'm Jack Harlan, 38, single dad to 10-year-old Tommy, and volunteer coach for the Elmwood Eagles Little League. Life in the sleepy Ohio suburb was predictable as a curveball. Mornings with oatmeal and baseball cards, afternoons herding rowdy kids through drills, evenings tucking Tommy in with stories of my glory days at Ohio State, back when I was the hotshot pitcher everyone whispered about. Not for the strikes, but for the way I'd sneak glances at the catcher in the locker room showers. Coming out in a place like Elmwood wasn't a fireworks show. It was a slow burn, met with awkward nods from folks who'd known me since I was knee-high to a catcher's mask. My ex, Mike, bailed 5 years ago when Tommy was 5, couldn't handle the stares or the what-ifs, so I raised our boy solo, building a fortress out of routines and resilience. No drama, no regrets, just us against the infield. That night, the Eagles were up 4-3 in the bottom of the 7th. Tommy on deck, his skinny arms twitching with that fire I recognized from my own youth. The sky had cracked open mid-inning, turning the diamond into a mud slick, but we played on, because that's what Midwesterners do. Stubborn as the clay under our cleats. I was yelling encouragement from the dugout when the crack echoed, sharper than a bat on ball. Not thunder, a gunshot. Kids screamed, parents bolted from the stands, and I sprinted toward third base where the noise had come from, heart slamming like a fastball. There, slumped against the chain-link fence beyond the outfield, was him. Mid-20s, soaked black hair plastered to a face pale as chalk, a dark stain blooming across his gray hoodie. He clutched his side, gasping, eyes darting like he expected the devil himself to burst through the haze. "Coach Harlan!" someone yelled. Probably Mrs. Jenkins, ever the busybody. But I waved them off, dropping to my knees beside him. Up close, he was all sharp angles. High cheekbones shadowed with stubble, lips cracked and trembling. A silver chain tangled in his collar glinting under the lights. "Hey, easy, I'm Jack. You're safe." What happened? Blood seeped between his fingers, warm and metallic on my skin, as I tore off my cap and pressed it to the wound. He flinched, but his gaze snagged on me, raw and searching, like I'd thrown him a lifeline in a storm. "They're coming," he rasped, voice low and edged with something foreign. Maybe East Coast, maybe fear. "Please, don't let them find me." Before I could process, his hand gripped my wrist, weak but desperate. And in that touch, I felt it. A spark, electric and forbidden. The kind that doesn't belong in a crisis. Sirens pierced the chaos finally. Red and blue washing over us like a bad dream's filter. Paramedics swarmed, prying him from my hold. But as they loaded him onto the stretcher, he twisted back, those green eyes boring into mine. "Jack, thank you." My name on his lips, soft as a stolen kiss, lingered long after the ambulance doors slammed. Tommy clung to me the whole ride to the ER, his small hand fisted in my shirt, wide eyes reflecting the fluorescent buzz of the waiting room. "Dad, is he gonna die? Like Mom almost did." His voice wobbled, dredging up ghosts. Tommy's mom wasn't Mike. She was a one-night college fling who handed him over at birth, a mercy I still questioned on dark days. I pulled him close, inhaling the scent of wet grass and bubblegum. "Nah, kiddo. Guy's tougher than he looks. Just a scrape. Lies maybe, but necessary ones." The doc emerged an hour later, through and through graze, no vitals hit, but the stranger, real name Ethan Cole, per his battered wallet, refused to give details on the shooter. "Assault," he muttered to the cops, eyes on the linoleum. "Wrong place, wrong time. I should have walked away then, signed the witness statement and driven home to our ranch style on Maple Street, where the fridge hummed and Tommy's Legos waited. But something in Ethan's fractured stare hooked me deeper than any curveball. Maybe it was the loneliness echoing in his silence, a mirror to my own buried aches. Or maybe it was the way he watched me from the gurney, like I was the only anchor in his tilting world. Against every instinct screaming caution, I volunteered to drive him home once they patched him up, assuming he had one. Elmwood's got a motel off Route 42, I said, scribbling my number on a napkin. Call if you need anything. He pocketed it without a word, but as we wheeled him out, he caught my sleeve. Actually, I got nowhere. Lost my bag in the scramble. Could I crash at yours? Just tonight. Stupid? Reckless? Hell yes. But in Elmwood, we look out for our own. And damn if he didn't feel like one already. Tommy, bless his oblivious heart, piped up from the truck's back seat. Can he play catch tomorrow, Dad? He looks fast. Ethan managed a ghost of a smile, the first crack in his armor, and I felt my chest loosen. We'll see, champ. The drive was quiet, rain sheeting the windshield, wipers thumping like a metronome to my racing thoughts. Our house glowed yellow against the night, a two-bedroom haven of scuffed baseboards and framed photos. Me and Tommy at the county fair, me hoisting the 22 championship trophy. Ethan paused on the porch, inhaling like he was tasting freedom. This is nice. Real. Inside, I set him up on the couch with blankets and a mug of instant coffee. Strong, black, the way I'd take mine after a loss. Tommy chattered about the game, oblivious to the tension coiling in the air, until his yawns won out and I herded him to bed. Back in the living room, Ethan sat hunched, picking at the bandage peeking from his collar. You don't have to do this, he said finally, voice barely above the clock's tick. I'm trouble. Always have been. I sank into the armchair, elbows on knees, studying him. The way his fingers drummed a nervous rhythm, the faint scar hooking his left eyebrow like a question mark. Trouble's my middle name, Ethan. Coaching these kids? Is herding cats with attitude. Spill it? What's chasing you? He hesitated, gaze flicking to the window where headlights ghosted past. Then, haltingly, it poured out. New York roots, a dead-end gig as a barista, a boyfriend. Ex now, who turned possessive. The fight that escalated to bullets when Ethan finally walked. He pulled a gun, said if he couldn't have me, no one would. I ran. Ended up here, hitchhiking, thinking Ohio was far enough. The words hung heavy, laced with shame and something softer. Longing, maybe, for the normalcy my life screamed of. I nodded, not pushing, just listening like I would a kid striking out. Sounds like you did the right thing. Brave even. His laugh was bitter, short. Brave? Nah. Surviving. Our eyes met then, and the room shrank, charged with unspoken currents. The pull of two men who'd hidden pieces of themselves too long. I stood abruptly, breaking it. Get some rest. We'll figure the rest tomorrow. Sleep evaded me that night, Tommy's snores filtering through the wall, while I lay staring at the ceiling, replaying Ethan's whisper under the lights. Run. From what? From him? Or toward something neither of us was ready for. By dawn, as coffee brewed and Tommy bounced in demanding pancakes, Ethan emerged, showered and borrowed one of my flannels. Too big, hanging loose like a flag of truce. He looked almost ordinary, stirring batter with a focus that bordered on fierce. You cook? Tommy asked, eyeing him suspiciously. Only when I have to, Ethan replied, flipping a flapjack with surprising grace. Grew up on diners. Learned the tricks. Breakfast stretched lazy. The three of us around the oak table my grandpa carved. Sunlight slanting through gingham curtains. Tommy grilled him on baseball. Favorite team? Yankees to my mock horror. Dream position? Shortstop. And Ethan answered easy, his guard slipping with each laugh. I watched, mesmerized by the transformation. The haunted drifter giving way to a guy with a quick wit and eyes that crinkled at the corners. After, as Tommy dragged him out for that promised catch, I lingered at the sink, suds to my elbows, wondering if this was mercy or madness. The ball sailed true between them, father-son echoes in every throw, and for a stolen moment, the yard felt fuller, alive with possibility. But possibility has teeth. Mid-afternoon, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. He's mine. Back off or Elmwood burns. My stomach dropped, the words blurring as I glanced out the window. Ethan, mid-toss with Tommy, froze like he'd heard the threat himself. When he came in later, sweat damp and flushed, I showed him. His face drained to ash. It's him, Derek. I thought, God, Jack, I'm so sorry. Sorry didn't cover it, but anger didn't rise. Instead, a fierce protectiveness, the coach in me rallying the team. He comes near my boy, he deals with me. We'll go to the cops, get a restraining order. Ethan shook his head, backing away. You don't know him. He's got connections, cops in his pocket back home. This was a mistake. I gotta go. He grabbed his hoodie, movements frantic, but I blocked the door, hands up like calming a spooked colt. Running won't fix it. Stay. Fight. Our breaths mingled, close enough to feel the heat radiating off him, and time stuttered. Then, tentative as a first base steal, his hand rose to my cheek, thumb brushing stubble. Why? Why help a ghost like me? I covered his hand with mine, the contact igniting something dormant, warm and terrifying. Because life's too short for ghosts. And maybe, you're not one to me. The kiss, when it came, was inevitable, soft, seeking, tasting of salt and second chances under the kitchen's harsh light. Tommy's laughter echoed from the yard, grounding us, reminding what was at stake. That evening, as we grilled burgers, Ethan manning the tongs like a pro, Tommy regaling us with schoolyard tales, the illusion held. Neighbors waved over the fence, none the wiser to the shadow lurking. But as stars pricked the sky, Ethan pulled me aside on the porch, voice low. This can't last. Derek, he doesn't stop. I squeezed his shoulder, solid under my palm. Neither do I. Little did I know, the real disruption wasn't Derek at all. It was the secret Ethan carried, one that would test loyalties, shatter trusts, and force me to choose between the life I'd built and the love crashing into it like a wild pitch. Days blurred into a fragile rhythm, Ethan folding into our lives like he'd always been the missing piece in the puzzle. Mornings started with him brewing coffee, stronger than mine, with a dash of cinnamon that turned the kitchen into a hug, while I roused Tommy for school. He'd linger at the table, sketching on napkins, quick lines capturing Tommy's gap-toothed grin or the curve of a baseball arc, talents he'd downplayed as doodling from bored shifts. By week's end, he'd landed a temp gig at the local print shop, printing flyers for the Eagles' next tournament. His steady hands a quiet rebellion against the chaos he'd fled. Elmwood, bless its nosy heart, welcomed him piecemeal. Mrs. Jenkins dropping off her famous rhubarb pie with a side-eye. Handsome fella, Jack, divorced? Coach Ramirez slapping his back at practice. Got an arm on ya? Ever play? Ethan demurred, but I saw the hunger in his eyes, the ache for roots. Nights were ours, stolen in whispers after Tommy crashed. We'd sit on the porch swing, creaking under our weight, fireflies winking like conspirators. He'd talk New York in fragments, the pulse of Times Square, the anonymity of subway crowds where a stolen glance could bloom into a night of possibility. It was freeing, he'd say, fingers tracing mine. But hollow. No one sees you really sees. I'd counter with Elmwood tales. The summer fair where Mike proposed under the Ferris wheel only to bail under pressure. The winter I came out to Dad over lukewarm beers in his garage. His gruff love's love, son, now past the wrench. Ethan listened, head on my shoulder, his breath sinking with the crickets. You're steady, Jack, like that oak out back. Roots deep, branches wide. In those moments, romance wasn't fireworks. It was the slow burn of compatibility, his laugh vibrating through me, my hand finding the small of his back like it belonged. But undercurrents pulled. Derek's texts escalated. I see you playing house. Cute dot. Each one a barb twisting in my gut. I changed my number, blocked him, even drove Ethan to the station for a report. But the cops board gnawed. Out of state? Low priority, echoed Ethan's warnings. He's got money, Jack. Daddy's a developer. Buys his way out. Paranoia crept in. A strange car idling on Maple. A hang-up call at dawn. Yet it bonded us tighter. One rain-lashed evening, after Tommy's bedtime story, Ethan found me in the garage, oiling my glove, the air thick with leather and regret. "You're scared," he said, not a question. I set the mitt down, wiping hands on jeans. "For you. For us. Tommy asks questions now. Is Ethan your friend like Daddy Mike was? How do I explain this?" He stepped close, the space between us humming. "Like this." His kiss was deeper then, urgent with the storm outside mirroring the one building inside. Lips parting, hands roaming shoulders, a tangle of limbs against the workbench that spoke volumes without words. We broke apart breathless, foreheads pressed, the world narrowing to heartbeats. "I love you," he murmured, the words slipping out unplanned, raw as an exposed nerve. Panic flickered, too soon, too much, but I pulled him closer. "Yeah? Well, get in line. I think I'm falling too." Laughter bubbled, lightening the weight, and for a night, we were invincible. Tommy's birthday anchored the illusion. A Saturday bash at the field with cake and a piñata shaped like a mitt. Ethan dove in, blindfolding the kids and swinging with theatrical flair, his laughter booming over cheers. I watched from the grill, flipping dogs, chest swelling at the sight. My boy beaming, Ethan glancing back with eyes that said this could be ours. Gifts piled high, new cleats from me, a hand-carved bat from Ethan. He'd whittled at nights, shavings dusting the porch like confetti. As dusk fell, Tommy hugged us both, sticky fingers on our shirts. Best day ever. Can Ethan stay forever? Ethan's throat worked, and I ruffled his hair to cover. We'll see, slugger. But forever's a fragile word. That night, post-party cleanup, a knock rattled the door. Sharp, insistent. Ethan paled behind me as I cracked it, revealing a slick-haired man in a trench, badge glinting. "Detective Hale, Columbus PD. Mr. Cole? We need to talk." My blood iced. Ethan stepped forward, voice steady. "About?" Hale's eyes flicked to me, assessing. "An incident in Manhattan. Theft. Assault. Your ex filed a report. Says you cleaned him out before bolting." The air sucked out. Ethan's face crumpled. "It's lies. Derek, he's twisting it." Hale shrugged. "We've got a warrant for your arrest. Come quiet." Chaos erupted, me shoving between them. Tommy peeking from the hall wide-eyed. Ethan's pleas tangling with Hale's radio crackle. "This is bullshit," I roared, phone in hand dialing Ramirez, anything for leverage. But Hale cuffed him efficient, the click echoing like a final out. As they led him to the cruiser, Ethan twisted back, desperation carving his features. "Jack, tell Tommy I'm sorry. I never meant." Doors slammed, taillights faded, leaving me on the porch, fists clenched, the swing swaying empty in the breeze. The next 48 hours were hell's waiting room. Bail set at $10K. Pocket change for Derek. I seethed, covered by dipping into Tommy's college fund. A bitter pill. Court was a blur. Ethan in orange, silent as his lawyer poked holes in the interstate warrant. But the judge remanded him pending extradition. "Flight risk," she intoned, gavel falling like judgment. I visited daily, separated by plexiglass, his voice tinny through the phone. "He's doing this to break me. Us." I'd press my palm to the glass, willing strength through it. "Hang on. We'll fight." But doubt gnawed. What if the theft was real? A barista's wage couldn't fund escape. What had he hidden? Tommy sensed the fracture, his questions sharpening. "Where's Ethan? Did he do bad stuff?" I'd hug him fierce on the couch, cartoons flickering ignored. "Grown-up mess, kiddo. But good people make mistakes." Lies again stacking like kindling. Community whispers amplified. Jenkins at the market. "Heard your houseguest's a crook, Jack. Watch your back." Ramirez pulled me aside at practice. "Heard about the arrest. You okay?" I nodded through gritted teeth, drilling the kids harder. The crack of bats a poor substitute for catharsis. Release came on a muggy Tuesday, Ethan shuffling out gaunt, eyes hollowed. I enveloped him in the parking lot, ribs sharp under my arms. "Home," I murmured, the word a vow. But home felt altered. Shadows longer, silences heavier. That night, over takeout lo mein, He confessed fragments. Derek's jealousy had escalated to isolation, then violence. The theft was grabbing his own savings before fleeing. I didn't want to drag you in deeper. Relief warred with wariness. Too late, I said, kissing his temple. We're in it now. Yet the idol cracked further midweek. A package arrived, no sender, just a manila envelope bulging on the stoop. Inside photos. Us kissing on the porch, Ethan tossing with Tommy, me at the field. Grainy, time-stamped. Tucked in a note, Derek scrawl. Told you, leave him or the kid pays. Rage boiled, but Ethan crumpled, tears silent. I brought this. You, Tommy, deserve safe. He bolted for the door, duffel half-packed. I tackled him in the hall, pinning gently. No, we face it together. Our lovemaking that night was fierce, reclaiming bodies entwined on rumpled sheets, whispers of stay, fight, love sealing cracks. Dawn found us tangled, resolve hardening. But betrayal's shadow loomed larger. Friday practice, a new face in the bleachers. Derek himself, mid-30s, polished suit clashing with the chain-link grit, eyes locked on Ethan assisting drills. My signal cut him short. He vanished before confrontation. Later, over beers at O'Malley's, our first date night, Tommy at a sleepover, Ethan drained his pint, voice tight. Saw him. He's here to finish it. I gripped his knee under the table. Then we end him first. Lawyer up, restraining order, full court press. Hope flickered, but as we walked home arm in arm, street lamps casting long shadows, a car peeled out from the curb, tires screeching warning. The stalking escalated like a game slipping from control, each sighting a pitch closer to the strike zone. Derek's shadow dogged us. A bouquet of wilted roses on the truck's windshield, blackened petals spelling mine in ash, hang-ups spiking at midnight, heavy breathing the only greeting. Ethan withdrew, his sketches turning abstract. Jagged lines, fractured forms, while Tommy's chatter filled voids with forced cheer. Ethan, draw me a dragon, he'd beg, and Ethan would comply, pencil flying, but the fire in his eyes dimmed. I doubled shifts at the hardware store, coaching lighter, every creak in the night a phantom threat. Community support trickled in, Ramirez loaning his old shotgun for Vermin Jack. Jenkins baking casseroles with notes. Strength, boys, but isolation clawed deeper, our haven turning siege. One crisp October evening, after a Eagles win where Tommy snagged a double, Ethan's coaching whisper in his ear. I treated us to pizza at Gino's, Elmwood's greasy spoon with vinyl booths and Sinatra on loop. Laughter flowed easy. Tommy reenacting his slide, sauce on his chin. Ethan mimicking my umpire scowl, drawing snorts. For an hour, normalcy reigned. The world outside the fogged window irrelevant. But as we piled into the truck, headlights flared from the alley. A black sedan, idling predatory. Go! Ethan hissed, buckling Tommy fast. I floored it, tires spinning gravel, the sedan lurching after like a hound on scent. Heart hammering, I wove Elmwood's grid. Past the library's lit facade, the park's swing sets empty, until the taillights faded at a red light. We screeched into the driveway, breathless, Tommy pale between us. Was that a bad guy? He whispered. Ethan pulled him close. Just a game, champ. Dad won. Inside, barricades rose. Deadbolts, chairs under knobs, my phone glued to hand. Ethan paced, fury cracking his shell. This ends now. I call the cops. Full story. But Dawn brought a gut punch. Ramirez at the door, face grim, holding a faxed alert. Ethan Cole, warrant from NYPD. Not just Derek. Embezzlement from his ex's firm. 50 grand. The room tilted. Ethan's denial choked. No, Derek's company. I waitressed, not worked there. Ramirez's sympathy warred with duty. Prince match. Extradition hearing tomorrow. Betrayal hit like a blindside tag. Not Derek's alone, but Ethan's silence? What else hid? He broke then, collapsing to the kitchen floor, sobs racking. I knelt, holding him as pieces tumbled. The barista gig a cover. Derek had pulled strings for an office job, legitimizing their relationship, but it trapped him. Forged checks to fund Derek's habits. Blame shifted when Ethan fled. I took what was mine, tips I'd earned. He framed me to keep control. Rage at Derek surged, but hurt lacerated. Why not tell me? From the start. His eyes, red-rimmed, pleaded. You had Tommy, your life perfect. I was poison. I cupped his face, thumbs tracing tears. We're not perfect, but trust? That's the base we build on. The kiss was salt-stung, desperate, a bridge over the chasm. Hearing loomed like execution. Courthouse in Columbus, sterile halls echoing footsteps. Tommy with Jenkins. Go get Dad. Ethan in ill-fitting suit, lawyer. A pro bono firebrand named Lena. Arguing interstate overreach, evidence tampering. Derek testified remote, voice smooth as oil. My Ethan fiancé stole to fund his escape. Broke my heart. Gasps rippled. I gripped the bench, knuckles white. But Lena pounced. Financials showing Derek's debts. Ethan's coerced signatures. A whistleblower affidavit from an ex-employee. Judge mulled. Recess stretching eternal. Then, insufficient for extradition. Case forwarded to federal review. Mr. Cole, remain in Ohio. Relief crashed. Ethan sagging into me in the hall. Whispers of we did it amid hugs. But victory soured fast. That night, homebound, tires blew mid-highway, shredded deliberate. We limped to a shoulder, flares blinking. When the sedan materialized, Derek emerging like a specter, pistol glinting moonlit. Told you, baby. Time to come home. Ethan shoved me behind, voice steel. Over, Derek. Let go. Laughter barked. Unhinged. Go? You think this podunk town's safe? I own you. He advanced, gun wavering, eyes fever-bright. Adrenaline surged. I lunged, tackling low varsity reflexes kicking in. Wrestling the barrel skyward as shots cracked wild, one pinging the guardrail. Ethan joined, knee to Derek's gut, the trio tumbling in gravel symphony. Sirens wailed distant, but close enough. Passerby dialed 911. Derek bucked, snarling curses, but cuffs clicked courtesy of arriving stoddies. Attempted murder, Hale drawled later, reading rights. Derek spat at Ethan. You'll rot without me. Hauled away, his empire crumbled. Arrests in New York for fraud, the frame unraveling like cheap yarn. We stood shell-shocked. Tommy's call lighting my phone. Dad? You okay? Yeah, kid. Heading home. Aftermath was a whirlwind. Statements, therapy referrals, community potlucks turning confessional. Folks sharing their scars. Elmwood's armor cracking to reveal hearts. Ethan and I rebuilt deliberate. Couples counseling in the next town, where our story blended with others. Gay dads navigating custody, trans teens finding footing. Romance deepened, not in grand gestures but quiet ones. Ethan's bat hanging over Tommy's bed, my glove monogrammed with his initials. Love letters scrawled on scorecards, read aloud under stadium lights, now ours alone. Yet conflict simmered internal. Months in, Ethan confessed a deeper wound. His family's rejection post coming out, Derek's love, a desperate fill. I fear I'll break you too. Vulnerability raw, I shared mine, nights doubting fatherhood's fit, Mike's ghost whispering failure. We break together, then mend stronger. Intimacy bloomed emotional. Slow dances in the kitchen to Tommy's radio, hands mapping scars like constellations. Climax brewed at the regional playoffs. Elmwood Eagles versus rivals from Akron. Tensions high, Derek's trial loomed, media sniffing scandal. Pre-game, Ethan cornered me in the dugout, voice trembling. If he walks, I run. For you. Betrayal's echo stung. Not his, but the system's tilt. No. We testify. End it. Tommy's hit cleared bases. Crowd roaring. But mid-inning. A call. Derek out on bail en route. Panic spiked. I signaled Ethan off field, but he refused, eyes fierce. Not hiding anymore. Halftime. Chaos. Derek stormed the chain link, ranting, gun in waistband spotted by security. Takedown swift. Tasers popping, him writhing in dirt. But the shot fired wild, grazing Ethan's arm as he shielded a kid. Blood bloomed, echoes of that first night. And I was there, jersey to wound, sirens again. Not leaving you, he gasped, echoing my plea. Hospital lights harsh, stitches sealing flesh and fate. Derek remanded, trial sealed shut. Healing wasn't linear. It zigzagged like a knuckleball, days of elation undercut by phantom pains. Ethan's arm in a sling turned him domestic, whipping up stir-fries from fridge scraps, narrating bedtime sagas with pirate accents that had Tommy in stitches. I adapted too, delegating drills to assistants, focusing on us. Drives to the lake, where we'd skip stones and unpack baggage, his head on my lap as I traced the sling's edge. Feels like fate's got a sense of humor, he'd quip, wincing through PT, romance wove through recovery. Notes in his lunch, swing for the fences. My lips on his temple at dawn, gratitude in every graze. Tommy thrived, dubbing Ethan Uncle E. Their bond a bomb. Fort-building marathons. Whispered secrets under blankets. But betrayal's residue lingered. A low hum threatening harmony. Derek's trial dominated local news, suburban stalker. Gay lover's revenge. Headlines twisting our story into tabloid fodder. Whispers at the IGA. Heard the drifter shot first? Jenkins defended fierce. Jack's a good man, leave him be. But isolation bit. Worse, Ethan's doubts resurfaced. Nightmares jolting him upright, murmuring apologies to shadows. One storm-lashed night, thunder rumbling like judgment. He bolted from bed, pacing the hall. I found him by the window, rain-streaked face haunted. What if I'm the curse? You saved me, and look, your life's appended. I pulled him to the couch, blanket cocooning us. Appended? Try expanded. Stories spilled. My pre-Ethan loneliness, masking ache with coaching bravado. His New York hollows, chasing validation in toxic arms. Derek wasn't love, he admitted, voice cracking. It was survival. You're home. Tears mingled, our kiss a seal. Tender, affirming, bodies aligning in quiet affirmation. Hearts sinking beyond words. Dawn brought resolve. Therapy together, boundaries drawn, media blackout, focus inward. Community rallied unexpectedly. Ramirez organized a Harlan Heroes fundraiser, car wash, bake sale, funds for counseling, but really, a show of solidarity. At the event, folks lined up, old teammates sharing coming-out war stories, a lesbian couple from the diner offering playdates for Tommy. Ethan, sling akimbo, manned the suds, laughter bubbling as bubbles flew. This place, he marveled later, toweling off. It's got soul. I grinned, suds in his hair. Told ya, Midwest magic. Yet climax crested subtle, insidious. Derek's acquittal on lesser charges. Manslaughter plea, time served pending appeal, hit like a gut punch. Bail hearing leaked. He'd walk by week's end. Fear coiled anew, but this time proactive. Lena armed us. Panic button app, safe house options. Fight smart, she coached. Ethan nodded, but eyes shadowed. The night before release, he vanished. Duffel gone, note on the counter. Can't risk you more. Love always. Run while you can. Betrayal sliced deepest. Not abandonment, but the echo of his first whisper, choosing flight over fight. Panic propelled me. Tommy to Ramirez's, cruiser to the bus station, Greyhound lot scoured. Hours blurred, desperation clawing, until a tip from the print shop guy. Ethan at the field, alone under lights. I found him there, bat in hand, swinging at ghosts, tears carving tracks. Thought you'd skip town, I panted, chest heaving. He dropped the bat, crumpling. Tried. Couldn't. You're my why, Jack. Collision inevitable, arms crushing, sobs shared. The diamond our confessional. No more running, I vowed. We face him. Together. Derek's release dawn broke gray. Patrol car idling curbside as precaution. But he didn't come compliant. Dusk fell, Eagles practice rapping. When the crash echoed. Truck through the fence, Derek at wheel. Eyes manic. Barreling toward the dugout where Ethan coached base runners. Screams erupted. I sprinted, tackling kids clear, Ethan frozen mid-yell. Time dilated, Derek veering, gun drawn, firing wild, glass-shattering, ricochet whining. Then Ethan moved, not away, but toward, snatching a loose bat, charging like a batter facing heat. "Enough!" he roared. Swing connecting with Derek's wrist, gun skittering. Derek lunged, fists flying, but I joined the fray, pinning him as Ramirez whistled stoddies. Takedown brutal. Derek thrashing, curses venomous. "Freak! Thief!" But cuffs silenced, Hale's team swarming. Medics checked us. Bruises, cuts, Ethan's sling shredded but whole. Tommy, safe in stands with Jenkins, rushed hugging. "You were heroes, Dad." Uncle Lee. Flashbulbs popped, news vans circling. But we waved them off, walking out arm in arm, the field lights haloing our retreat. Aftermath cascaded. Derek's rearrest, aggravated assault, bail revoked, trial fast-tracked. Federal probe unraveled his fraud web, embezzlement flipped to his ledger. Ethan cleared fully, Prince recanted as planted. Vindication sweet, but hollow without the cost tallied. Nightmares lingering, trust's fragile rebuild. Resolution unfolded not in fanfare, but folds of forgiveness, the kind earned in quiet hours. Derek's sentencing, 20 to life, fraud and attempted murder stacked. Closed a chapter, but scars etched permanent. Ethan's aversion to crowds, my hypervigilance at shadows. Yet growth sprouted resilient. We married civil, a backyard affair under that oak. Tommy ringbearer in tiny tucks, Ramirez officiating with jokes corny as cornfields. Vows simple, in chaos and calm, I choose you. Rings exchanged, plain gold, engraved steady. Community toasted with coolers of pop and pie, Jenkins toasting. To love that pitches curves and catches 'em too. Life resettled, enriched. Ethan took art classes at the rec center, his murals adorning Elmwood's walls. Vivid fields, intertwined figures, symbols of endurance. Coaching evolved. I mentored a GSA club, Tommy's idea. 4 kids like Uncle E. Opening dialogues long overdue. Dates became ritual. Friday drives to the quarry, picnics with sandwiches and stargazing. Hands laced as constellations wheeled. Intimacy deepened layers, conversations post-love. Bodies spent, souls bared. You saved me twice, he'd murmur, finger tracing my jaw. Once from bullets, once from myself. A chuckle pulling closer. Team effort. Tommy blossomed, 13 now, navigating puberty with Ethan's sketches as therapy. Draw your fears, kiddo, and my glove talks on manhood unbound by norms. Love's the real MVP, I'd say, tossing grounders. His first crush, a freckled shortstop, sparked family powwows, Ethan sharing tales of awkward firsts, normalizing the spectrum. Years layered gentle. Ethan's gallery show in Columbus. My Eagles clinching state with Tommy at helm. Setbacks visited. Anniversary triggering Ethan's panic. My shoulder surgery sidelining swings. But we leaned, unbreaking. Humanistic truth emerged. Love isn't absence of storm, but dancing in rain, mud and all. No fairy tale polish. Just us, flawed and fierce, building legacy in Elmwood's red clay. One autumn dusk, field empty save fireflies, we sat bleachers, bats idle. Tommy, off at camp, left echoes. Ethan leaned in, breath warm. Regret helping that stranger? I grinned, kissing slow. Best wild pitch ever. Laughter mingled with crickets. Life a grand slam. Disrupted, yes, but gloriously, irrevocably alive.